Now, before we can even understand what it takes for a company to undergo digital transformation, we should understand some of the early challenges that are faced throughout. On the data capture and data storage front, the lack of sensors that to adequately capture data can become an issue. There's a saying in business that states that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So I would definitely say that same concept applies to the process industry. Data volume could also very well be a challenge for many customers. Some sensors might be collecting sub-second data points, so having the right framework in place to generate the correct subset of data and the right databases for saving large amounts of time series data, it's crucial so you can later analyze such data. Even if the data is being saved and stored in databases, having poor connectivity capabilities for retrieving it can also end up in a challenge where some customers or some companies might end up having data silos, which just means that the right people don't have the access to the data for doing any type of data analytics. On the data analysis front, having limited software capability can really be an impediment, which is where TrendMiner can really start adding value to an organization. In addition, the decision-making process can be also limited by the ability of process experts of sharing their knowledge and findings with the right people. Now, having discussed some of these challenges, we can now discuss some of the enablers that, if left unattended, can really prevent a company from successfully going through their digital transformation journey. Now, there are 7 enablers here that we've identified, and I don't mean to discuss all of them here, but I believe there's one in particular that companies should really pay the most attention to, especially at the beginning of their IoT journey. Now, for us, even though it might be surprising for you guys, systems is a key enabler here, or the keystone in this arch analogy that holds together the entire IoT journey, at least through its very beginnings. Now, all these are very important, of course, but when we talk about system encompasses many different things, but in this context, it refers to whether or not the company's technology infrastructure is on par with the expectations and the requirements of the analytics solution being adopted at the company. Now, does the company have the appropriate servers in place for hosting an application like TrendMiner? Should it switch from hard drive technology to solid state drive technology to enable better performance? Does a company have sufficient bandwidth for appropriate network traffic? In summary, does a company have the right IT, OT infrastructure for rolling out a solution such as TrendMiner for their data analytic needs? Now, we've been referencing this digital transformation journey for a few times now, but let's actually take a look at it and the 3 stages that we've identified. Now, companies that start in the control factory stage can definitely evolve into the data-driven factory stage and beyond with the help of TrendMiner. Now, at each stage, the analytics maturity, as we see on the x-axis of this graph here, will increase, which means that the complexity of the problems and use cases being solved at the plant level with TrendMiner will also increase, which is going to also lead to larger rewards and more business value. Now, each stage in this journey will have its own gaps and difficulties that must be overcome in order to step into the next stage, of course. TrendMiner can definitely be a facilitator throughout all of these stages. Perhaps if you ask some of our customers, there are perhaps 2 reasons why this is the case. Now, TrendMiner is not only a very easy to use and powerful software with very short learning curve, but perhaps equally important for our customers is the support that they receive from our customer success team, one that I'm a part of, with the people with the industry background that provides support throughout the entire IoT journey for the company. Now let's start talking about the control factory stage. And this is perhaps the level where you're at right now. In the control factory stage, the factory relies on their SCADA, DCS, and sometimes decades-old technology for data capturing and data storage. Here, they're also limited to Excel and other tools for performing an analysis on only a handful of critical process parameters, since perhaps working with these types of spreadsheet tools is time consuming, and these really aren't optimized for handling large volumes of time series data. In fact, factories at this stage also experience very little collaboration between process experts, which leads to a tribal knowledge way of working, which is an impediment for decision making. Now, once that mindset gap is overcome by the company, in other words, once management and the process experts are on board that an analytics solution like TrendMiner must be adopted and truly believe that this is the way forward, a company can finally reach the data-driven factory. Now, at this stage, the experts finally have the right tools in place and feel empowered to do descriptive, prescriptive, and predictive analytics with their time series data. Here you can also start analyzing large amounts of data for daily decision making and finally get to solve some of the process issues that have always been accepted as part of the complexity of the process, which definitely adds, and that's where definitely you start adding value to an organization.